Hey, welcome back to Splash Page. I'm Andrew. We're talking Season 3, Episode 7 of Righteous Gemstones. This was a big one, only 2 episodes left. This is the one I've been waiting for. We finally find out what happens. It's a pretty straightforward episode from the beginning. We see Judy stealing pain meds for BJ. She gets kidnapped by the Church of Tomorrow's Fires. We see Kelvin trying to reconcile with Keith by showing up at his place of business at midnight. He gets kidnapped by the Church of Tomorrow's Fires, and Jesse also gets kidnapped by the Church of Tomorrow's Fires. This is it. This is the one where we figure out what happened. Who did it? What was the plan? Was it Peter? Was it May? Were they in on it together? Was it Chuck? Was it Carl? Were they in on it with the parents? Was it all of them? Was it none of them? Maybe it was none of them. Maybe everything's just happening and it's all random, and actually nothing's happening in this entire season, and I haven't been watching a TV show. But I don't think that's it. Either way, we're gonna find out, so let's do this. Well, the Gemstone kids are locked up in a silo. They're already fighting with each other. Peter and the cousins come in and basically tell them they're holding them for ransom. And Jesse does the smartest thing he possibly could have done in the situation. He says to Carl, if you don't get us out of this, we're not going to be cousins anymore. And he is the one that cares most about family. We jump to the scene where everyone figures out that everyone's missing. We see Amber on the phone talking to her friend saying, hey, have you seen Jesse? He didn't come home last night. And this is why I never watch Next Time On's, because they lie to us with the truth. He wasn't cheating on her. He wasn't out. He was kidnapped, which honestly is what BJ thought happened to Judy. He thought she was out sleeping with someone else, but she was just kidnapped. And Keith finds Kelvin's vehicle, and he shows up at the Gemstone house, and BJ invites him into the family, and they all together look for the kids. Eli gets a DVD from Peter, basically telling him that this is a kidnapping situation. Eli calls Peter. He wants $15 million. What's he going to do with that $15 million? Well, his men have some ideas. They're either going to poison the water in one of them liberal cities, blow up a 5G tower, church business. So they want $15 million from Eli. Eli's at home. The whole family's there. He accuses May of, if not being in on it, at least her kids screwed him over, and they have a big all-out fight. They scream at each other. She doesn't believe her kids could have done it. She says she's leaving, but she can't because the cops are there, which they didn't arrest her. They kind of just questioned her, and they let her come and go as she pleases, as we see later in the episode. But it's fair to assume that she might have had something to do with it, and I still thought she did, even though everything she said was that she didn't. She said, don't let them go. Peter's going to hurt them. When Peter asked for money, May told Eli not to pay Peter. If she was in on it, wouldn't she be trying to push for the money? But I could see her from that one episode showing her backstory, conniving, that she would say the opposite to try to play devil's advocate. But she also wasn't someone who's ever been about money. That was Peter's thing. Peter was about money. May was not. So I'm now convinced that May was not in on this, except they try to trick us again later. The cops are in the house, and they might be the worst cops I've ever seen, or I guess they just know the Gemstone family. They suggest that Peter will get sick of the kids and let him go, or they should just pay off the Church of Tomorrow's Fires, which is ostensibly a terrorist group. If not in action, they're stockpiling weapons and they want to poison water supplies and blow up towers. They are a violent militia, and the cops are just like, pay him. Give him some money. It's fine. Baby Billy shows up, tossing his child down the hallway, which is a phenomenal way to enter a scene. And he's basically there concerned not for the health of his nephews and niece, but for the future of his Bible Bonkers TV show. This whole time, the Gemstone kids are trying to escape. They are failing miserably. They can't get Judy up the ladder. Kelvin cannot flip up there. He does a phenomenal job of landing on his face, just as Peter and the cousins come in to tell them that it's time for church and they will be leading the ceremony, which they just brought him out there to mock their ability at leading a sermon. Now, Yes, they are terrible at leading a sermon, and they all are better than thou kind of preachers, which is not the best, but they got a pretty big church. But it does show the comfortability when you're on your own stage, when you're in your home, you have control. When you're in someone else's house, doesn't matter how good you are, it can be really hard to get that thing done. Even if you're really good at it, if you're in a strange, uncomfortable place where everyone's job is to laugh at you and they want you to fail, you're gonna fail. And they did brilliantly. Eventually, May convinces Eli not to pay Peter. He calls him up to tell him he's not going to pay him. And one of Peter's men, Dakota, I believe his name is, decides, well, we've got these hostages. We asked for money. He's not paying. What do you do with hostages? Kill one of the hostages. So Peter and the cousins show up to tell the kids that they're going to kill one of them after the church sermon that evening. This is when the kids finally come together. They have their come to Jesus moment, and they tell stories about each other. They basically decide who they think Peter's going to kill first, but then they do kind of come together and decide that they love each other. And just as they're ready to go to their death, one of them will die. May and Carl show up to the rescue. Carl couldn't stand the fact he couldn't have Peter killing his cousins, their family. This was the part, this show has really made me doubt May the entire time, because she comes out of the house on the phone and Gideon's in the car. He catches her having a very suspicious conversation and follows her to the church grounds, and then follows her onto the church grounds where he finds Redeemer in the monster truck. But even then, yes, she came to save them, but was she in on, I still don't know if she was in on the plan or not. She might not have been. She obviously saved Jesse, Judy, and Kelvin, but also she might have been in on the plan and then backed off once Peter decided to kill one of the kids and she found out. Honestly, I think May is clean in this one, but I guess you never know. Unless they tell us, we will never know. We'll never know. Unless they tell us. We'll find out. But they save the kids. They almost save the kids. They almost get to the car when Peter and Chuck catch them. Peter pulls a pistol on the gemstones. That was fun to say. Peter pulls a pistol, and May basically says, "You're not going to shoot us. You're not that kind of guy." And she knows him, and he wouldn't. And he couldn't even shoot her when she was walking away. He tried to have Chuck do it. Chuck doesn't shoot them. I don't think Chuck would have shot them, but he doesn't get the chance to because Gideon shows up in Redeemer, the monster truck, and it's one of those glorious moments. He just has his hero moment where he gets to drive a monster truck around an outdoor church compound, just terrorizing these militiamen. And I mean, Gideon is a stunt car driver, and they used that fact very well. Now, did they know they were going to write this scene when they made Gideon a stunt driver? I don't know. Honestly, it's brilliantly beautiful. It's a lot of fun to watch. And May and the kids, they get in the car with Carl, and they're escaping down the road, but they're cut off by a handful of militiamen on 4x4s or whatever they're on there, and they're trapped. They're screwed. They're gonna be taken back, but no. The Redeemer comes down the road, cutting them off and smacking into the last of the militia barrier, and they are off to freedom. So, you know, it's a pretty straightforward story. They get kidnapped. They fight with each other. They realize they love each other. The family refuses to pay. Peter's gonna kill one of them, and then May and one of the cousins save them, and they escape with the help of the monster truck that finally makes sense in the show. Where are we going from here? Well, if you notice, when Gideon's first driving that monster truck, he yells, "Hooey, sucker!" which is Dusty Daniels' catchphrase, which reminds us, is Dusty coming back? Are those other pastors coming back? Is that going to be a storyline? We only have 2 more episodes left, so they better do it quick if it's going to happen. I don't know where they would even go with it. There seems to be nothing there. It was just a fun thing to set up a monster truck? No, it didn't even set that up. So I don't know why they showed up at the beginning of the season, unless they come back in the next 1.5 episodes before we wrap this up. So that's a loose thread right there. We still don't know who hit May with the car at the beginning, and I don't think we're going to find out, and I don't think it really matters anymore, but it was an interesting MacGuffin going all the way through this season so far. And what else is there? What else are we missing? Now we know who the plan was. The plan was Peter, and he had Chuck on his side, and Carl was going along with it because I guess he didn't want to say anything. He didn't want to stand up to his brother or his father. But eventually he did, and he saved the gemstones, and they escaped. What else is there? What else is there? I don't know. We still have the fertilizer. Peter's got a ton of explosive fertilizer. Is he gonna try to blow up the gemstones mansion? That's what he's gonna do. Peter is gonna get back at Eli by using that explosive fertilizer to blow up the gemstones mansion. And that's what we will see next episode, 100% plus or minus 100%. So it could be up to 200% or as low as 0%. Only one way to find out. We'll have to watch next week. Thanks, guys. I'm Andrew. This is Splash Page. Until next time, later.